I've watched the episodes that are available, and it seems like your guys' relationship is so much stronger now that you're honest about like kind of how terrible of people you guys are. Would you guys say that's accurate?
Yeah, you definitely have to have honesty if you want to build a strong relationship. And so these two being honest with how horrible they are builds a stronger relationship. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I actually love that. I love that that take. The truth shall set you free, right?
Yes.
Well,
Yep.
and you seem to be very, you seem to be more, I guess I don't want to say powerful. You have a better sense of who you are in the relationship. I feel like you're no longer trying to be like this perfect like church wife. And in a sense, in doing that, you kind of are a good church wife.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to stand by someone when you know what you're standing by. I like to say I'm not a rule follower, but I like to know the rules so I know what I'm breaking.
It's good.
Danny,
right.
would you like to add? I mean, what makes their marriage work now?
I think now they have a goal together they're working on together, which I feel like they've committed to this relationship and to being honest with one another. And now they're putting all of that energy, instead of deceiving one another, into trying to take over this church. So they have a common purpose.
And that brings in the Listens, who I think are very different from you guys. But can you explain like what draws them to? I mean, is it just power?
I think that Jesse and Amber see a little bit of themselves in the Listens. The Listens are another husband and wife duo that have just recently taken over the reins from the patriarch of the family. And so now they have this new sense of self, this new sense of power, and they're getting a chance to like live their dreams and do the stuff that they had only talked about. And I think Jesse and Amber, they like what that looks like. They feel that sense of self-importance as well, and they're ready to sort of flex and show the world what they have. They want to lead. And so I think they see they see what they're wanting to achieve in the Listens. They see their selves, and they see the goals that they want.
And Danny, maybe you can shed a little light on how you got Joe Jonas to join, because I remember as a Joe Bros stan, like he had the whole purity ring thing. And I'm not saying that Righteous Gemstones is like totally critical of the church, but it's not rated G.
It's not rated G. You know what? We talked to Joe after the first season of Gemstones, but he was a fan of the show. Long and short of it, he was a fan of the show, and so he had reached out to us, and so then we wanted to try to include him in the second season somehow.
And then the hotel resort, where did that idea come from?
It just the Gemstones are constantly just trying to just like make this empire bigger and bigger, and the more that they make it bigger, the less it tends to have to do with God. And so for us, the idea that they would see this as an opportunity to kind of create like a luxury resort, it just seemed sort of like misguided, and like, but it made sense enough monetarily that it would be something that would appeal to them.
And with Amber, I'm very curious about, you guys have this like now marriage counseling group.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that Amber is, I mean, does she approve of the group? Does she think it actually is doing anything? It seems more like it's just like a hangout.
Oh, I think she completely believes in the group. I think it's actually a platform for her and Jesse to be team members in front of the church in an even different way. She's not on stage with the siblings. She's not part of any of that kind of stuff. So this is sort of her stage. And, something that I think they toed in this is that, they had a tough time. So listen to us. We went through the ringer in this. And so we have the answers for you now. Everything in the name of God and belief, which I truly think Amber believes. So I feel like it's a place for her to spread her wings in that way, to be part of the limelight with Jesse as the power couple that they're trying to portray themselves as.
And you guys start to talk about the son. He is starting to explore his sexuality. We start to see like their family dynamic coming out though. And I think that was one of like the funner parts of this season. At least I thought it was hilarious. What was you saw the scene where Danny tells him, your grandma's watching. How would Amber have handled that?
Well, I think first of all, my favorite part of that scene is when you fall in that chair. It's like the physical comedy that I lose my mind on every time. What's interesting is I think that first scene in the first episode, right, when they ask Gideon to do their bidding, I think it's interesting that Amber was given 3 boys. I think that she kind of has to give the reins over to Jesse. I'm not sure she would have explained it the same way, but I think she just doesn't want to talk about it for a multitude of reasons. So she's letting the boys be boys on that one.
Yeah, because we don't really I don't see her in a super nurturing role, which has kind of been the interesting thing. Like, she seems most confident when they're dealing with the listens or they're trying to get Dr. Gemstone to like invest. So I was curious what your take on that whole situation was.
Yeah, well, I think she cares about what her kids think about her. I think she wants her children to be good boys, to be good men. Obviously in season 1 she was gutted when Gideon left, but I do wonder how much of that was about how it reflected back on her as a mom versus being really nurturing. You're right. I think first and foremost her concern is her husband. Except when Gideon gets sent to Haiti. But I hear what you're saying, and I think she has a plan to be powerful, and that that starts with her husband.
Danny, lastly, I wanted to ask, does he actually think that he's going to be able to take over the church one day? Because right now it seems like I don't really think that he's that strong in his faith.
Well, that's the thing I think that's kind of interesting about Jesse is that, Eli came from nothing and he built this empire, and his kids have not had to struggle. So they've just been sort of like handed this thing, and there's a sense of entitlement there that they just get this from just purely existing. But Jesse hasn't gone through the things that maybe he needs to go through to actually have the sense and the strength to be a real leader. And that's ultimately sort of like that's sort of like what's essential to like Jesse's growth exactly, is that he kind of thinks he should have all these things, but he hasn't put any of the work into it. And he kind of is weirdly just like finding his purpose and his sense in like what he expects as opposed to what he's worked for.